So, good evening and welcome to our special online course here at Maharishi International University on Maharishi Jyotish, Foundations of the Science of Transformation and Technology of Prediction. This is a 12-lesson course that has three main speakers, or three sources of knowledge in the course. The first will be Maharishi Mahesh Yogi. We will be hearing in every lesson talks by Maharishi on Jyotish or on specific topics that are relevant to the Jyotish being discussed in the particular lesson. In addition, we will be hearing a number of talks by Dr. Tony Nader, MD, PhD, Maharaj, who is Maharishi's appointed leader of our movement, appointed successor, who will especially be discussing Jyotish in our human physiology. And then we will be hearing many talks by Jyotish pundits who will be going through all the various aspects of Jyotish from their years and years of traditional knowledge. This course is a new online version of a course that has been taught at Maharishi European Research University in Holland. And this course is really put together by Raja Chris and Ann Kroll, who are in charge of the Brahmananda Saraswati Jyotish Foundation. Raja Chris Kroll, he's the Raja of Vietnam, Sri Lanka, Kenya, and Bahrain, and a member of the Global Council of the Global Country of World Peace. He was appointed by Maharishi in 2000 as the Global Minister of Religion and Culture of the Global Country of World Peace. And Raja Chris is the president of the Brahmananda Saraswati Jyotish Foundation and administers the Maharishi Jyotish and Maharishi Personal Yagya programs worldwide. Dr. Ann Kroll is a director of the Ministry of Religion and Culture of the Global Country of World Peace and works with her husband, Raja Chris Kroll, to bring Maharishi's Vedic science and technology of consciousness to people of all cultures and religions. And so they have taught this course several times in our international capital, and now this course is being made available online. And so really this course is a course they put together, and then I've added a significant number of things just to make sure it really works as a pure online course. But great credit to them for really choosing the videos and the subject matter and structuring this course. If you'd like to know more about the programs they have, the Brahmananda Saraswati Jyotish Foundation or the Brahmananda Saraswati Yagya Foundation, we see here their emails, and you can always just visit them at your leisure to see what is going on in this area. This is my email. My name is John Bonchef. I am, as I said, I am a holder of 2 PhDs from Maharishi, one in Nyaya and one in Maharishi Jyotish. I've been a meditator for 50 years and a TM teacher for 48 years. I've taught about 2,500 people. But Maharishi very much hoped that one day I would be able to teach a course in Maharishi Jyotish. And now I feel very fortunate that I'm able to do this. So now, what is the structure of this course? This course is a 12-lesson course. Lesson 1, which we will be going into detail in a few minutes, provides an overview of the course, Living One's Cosmic Potential through Maharishi Jyotish. This is really the wholeness lesson. Lesson 2 is an introduction to the Kundali, or the Jyotish chart. All knowledge is contained in the starting point. Lesson 3 is an introduction to the bhavas, to the houses, the non-changing silent background for ever-changing dynamism. And that is part 1. Part 2 continues again with the idea of the introduction to the bhavas. So we'll be spending about 3 to 4 hours on the bhavas. Lesson 5 is an introduction to the rashis, or the constellations, which are the keys to our total potential. And again, this is a 2-part lecture in which each lecture contains a talk by Maharishi and then 40 to 50 minutes of instructions by the Maharishi Jyotish pundits. Lesson 6 is the second part of the introduction to the rashis. Lesson 7 is part 1 of the grahas, or the planets. The grahas, expressions of the total potential of nature's intelligence, part 1. And lesson 8, the grahas, part 2. Lesson 9, at this point, we will have gained enough understanding of the constituents of Maharishi Jyotish that we can begin to look at a Kundalini and see how all these parts interact. And this will be beginning with Lesson 9, Insight into the Kundalini of Lord Ram, integrating the parts into the wholeness of Brahm. Lesson 10 is the introduction to the Dasa system, calculating the sequential unfoldment of the trends of time. Lesson 11, Maharishi Personal Yagya Program, Graha Shanti, employing natural law to work for you. And then Lesson 12, The Future is Bright, celebrating all possibilities contained within the science and technology of prediction and transformation. As we all know, we are in a challenging time of a pandemic, and what we will hear from the Maharishi Jyotish Pundits will be the prediction for the year ahead. And this will be brought out by Raja Luis Alvarez, who is the Raja for Latin America. And so Lesson 12 will be an in-depth understanding of the Kundalini of the world for the next year. We will teach the first lesson today, and then again on Wednesday, and then on Thursday evenings. And it's important to understand that these are the live streams. And if you can't make a particular evening, not to worry, because each lesson, once it's live stream, will be available to be viewed online for up to a year. And so every Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday, you have a chance to view 3 lessons. And then on Saturdays, we will be holding special Zoom sessions where people can ask questions and I can respond to clarify any points that may be still in doubt. We'll be having 2 Zoom sessions, Saturdays afternoon from 1:30 to 3:30 Central Daylight Time in the U.S., Midwest Time. And then Saturday evenings, the afternoon ones are especially for people from the USA and Europe, and in the evenings for the people in Asia and Australia and New Zealand. But anybody can join either of the 2 sessions. And there is an online workbook with exercises to integrate this knowledge. And you'll see the link on the Jyotish page where you signed up. And again, Dr. Chris and Nan Kroll have provided a beautiful workbook here. So what does this course include? It includes Maharishi's deep insights into human potential. This will be rare talks by Maharishi, where he explains the connection between individual and cosmic intelligence and how one can enjoy harmony with nature's perfect administration. We will have exclusive lectures from Dr. Tony Nader. Dr. Nader demonstrates the subtle mechanics of the cycles of nature and how the movement of the sun, moon, and planets can directly impact our thinking, feeling, and behavior. And then the fundamentals of Maharishi Jyotish, recorded presentations by Maharishi Jyotish Pundits, illustrate how the Kundalini or horoscope illuminates all areas of our life now and in the future. Learn key principles and vocabulary used in a Maharishi Jyotish consultation, including knowledge of the grahas, which is roughly translated as planets, rashis, signs of the zodiac, bhavas, houses of the horoscope, dashas, cycles of time, and more. You gain insight into the past and future. Learn how traditional Vedic technologies can address the consequences of past action, karma, and remove restrictions to future progress. And there'll be interactive demonstrations. We will have exercises, demonstrations, and animations that integrate and assimilate the knowledge. This course is designed so that a person who has little or no knowledge of Jyotish will be able to follow the course and gain an understanding of the principles of Jyotish. People with a greater knowledge of Jyotish will gain an understanding of Maharishi's unique perspective and will also learn a number of new and significant points from the Maharishi Jyotish Pundits. In terms of the Maharishi Jyotish Pundits, in the 90s when I was over in Florida, I met one Maharishi Jyotish Pundit who was pretty much a typical pundit. He came from a long background. This particular one was an 18th generation pundit. That's how many years his family had been doing Jyotish. So he learned from a very early age and had some very traditional ways of doing it. He came, and of course Maharishi not only absorbed all these various traditions, but then gave them the understanding of how to do Maharishi Jyotish from wholeness. And so these Jyotishers are at a very high level. Now, this course will not give you that level. You will not gain that level of knowledge in this course. But by the end of the course, you will be familiar with the principles of Maharishi Jyotish. And if you do have a Maharishi Jyotish consultation from such a pundit, you'll be able to follow along in the consultation and have a good understanding of what the Jyotishi is saying and know where the points of knowledge that the Jyotishi raises are found in your chart. So now lesson 1, overview of the course, living one's cosmic potential through Maharishi's Jyotish. Wholeness. Maharishi Jyotish is the Vedic discipline of prediction and transformation and has its basis in the unified field of natural law that underlies all relative values of time and space. This cosmic intelligence of nature displayed in the beauty and precision of the movement of the sun, moon, planets, and stars is also lively in the deepest level of human intelligence accessed in transcendental consciousness. In the title of the first lecture is a description of the goal of the course, which is that everyone should live one's cosmic potential. Jyotish is on that level from where all life begins. The diversity starts from that singularity, from that unity of self-referral consciousness, completely unified in its own value. So having its existence on a level which is the basic intelligence of nature, Jyotish is able to command all levels of evolution in any direction one would go. With this knowledge, we have the power to completely eliminate suffering. As soon as we can whisper this to all our people, so soon we will have the very solid foundation for heaven on earth. Maharishi, March 17, 1991, Meru. So again, the title of this course is The Foundations of the Science of Transformation and Technology of Prediction. I just like to look at that title a little bit from the point of view of wholeness. The foundation of the science of transformation. What is the basis? Where do we find this science arising from? And Maharishi Jyotish means living life and performing action from the level of pure consciousness. Maharishi says anyone can know anything at any time from within himself without losing himself. In his Ritambara Pragya, fully awake consciousness, Jyotishmati Pragya, and anyone can create anything from within itself. Anyone can transform anything or any situation into any other thing or situation without any loss to himself. And so this level from where this is performed is that Jyotishmati Pragya is from that level of pure consciousness, which everyone who meditates and does Maharishi's advanced programs has direct experience of twice a day. So what we're doing is we are taking that level of consciousness which we are already experiencing, which we already are, and making it even more powerful and stronger in our life through Maharishi Jyotish. And so the study of Jyotish without the knowledge of pure consciousness and without the direct experience of that field cannot produce a life in fulfillment nor a life free from suffering. And Maharishi says, if we look into the process of gaining knowledge, we find there are two sides to knowledge. The object of knowledge, that which we seek to know, and the subject of knowledge, the knower. What the present system of education provides is the knowledge of the object. What it misses is the knowledge of the subject. Knowledge of the knower in the knower's infinite capacity. When the knower is ignorant about the self, the whole structure of knowledge is as if baseless. And so Jyotish has really been without a base for thousands of years. And so it is Maharishi Jyotish that restores that fundamental field of intelligence from where Maharishi Jyotish both gains its dignity and its utility in our life. And so Maharishi's techniques for enlightenment provide the foundations of the science of transformation. Maharishi's Transcendental Meditation Program, the Science of Creative Intelligence, Maharishi's TM City Program, and Maharishi Vedic Science and Technology. And so Maharishi Jyotish provides the technology of prediction. So now we're looking at the second half of this title of the Science of Transformation and the Technology of Prediction. And we see that the foundation of the science of transformation is Yogastha, established in being. And the technology of prediction is karmani, performing action from being. And this is the science of being and the art of living. And Maharishi said the word art implies a graceful and skillful way of accomplishing anything. The art of living any phase of life is to make oneself the master of that phase by using latent potentialities and correct techniques. And so what Jyotish does here is it creates and opens these latent potentialities by bringing us down to the home of all the laws of nature, where we can wake up these latent potentialities and make them work for us, the laws of nature. And then the correct techniques through Maharishi Jyotish and Maharishi Yoga to make sure the laws of nature always support us 100%. From the Vedic astrology point of view, Vedic astrology, the Jyotishis calculate the whole of life from the past, and they calculate the whole of life in future. This is the field of Yagya. And when they find some wrong negative influence from the sun, moon, star, or whatever, they make some Yagya. Yagya is a name for a Vedic performance which can avert the danger. The Vedic way of life rests on avert the danger that has not come. Prevention. It uses the knowledge to prevent problems from coming on. The Yagya system is so powerful that those who get the Yagyas done by the Vedic pundits, they find the obstacles don't have to be faced. Sicknesses don't have to be faced. Wrong things don't have to be faced. One can be the master of one's own destiny if one follows the Vedic way of life, which is life according to natural law, which can prevent disorders. Every year, these planets go around the sun and influence our life. These influences are classified in terms of positive and negative. Therefore, it is wise to enhance any positive influence and amend any negative influence through yagyas year after year, every year. So now we'll hear Maharishi talk on Maharishi Jyotish transforming the individual to the state of perfection.
So in this introductory talk, I would just refer to one point, very significant point, that when a man is born, I have said many times, that when a man is born, he is born as the expression of his Atma, expression of his unified field of consciousness. He is the expression of quantum mechanical self-referral dynamism in the eternal silence of his own being. Self-referral dynamism of his eternal ocean of peace. Vedic literature has one aspect which is called Jyotish. Jyotish is an aspect of Veda, that means the knowledge, aspect of knowledge, where one point of knowledge gives a total field of all possibilities in the life of the individual. That point of birth, one is born in this place at this time from this family. Jyotish determines from that one point of birth, time, place, and the heritage. The Jyotishis, the knower of this field of Vedic science, they are able to determine from that. It's like when you see through microscope, you see through a point, but what you see is everything on the other side. Total big, huge, wide space, wide angle lens, like that. So from the point of birth, it is possible through this Vedic knowledge to determine what kind of person he is there. Whether, example to understand, whether it's a mango tree going to grow to a big tree and produce mangoes, or guavas, or plums, or anything. What is the seed? The seed of mango, the seed of... So from the birth point, it is possible to determine what this seed is going to sprout and become a tree, big branches, all very big tree, mango tree, producing mangoes. The gardener knows what kind of fertilizer would be needed for the mango tree to really become very, very fruitful. Either it's a mango tree or apple tree or any tree, but the gardener knows what fertilizer, and then he is able to produce maximum glory of the tree. Like that, every single individual, every physiology, from his birth time, Jyotish, this knowledge of Jyotishmati Pragya it's called, the intelligence, all-knowing intelligence, they have all in their system many procedures to know the thing, but one thing is fortunate, that they can know everything. What kind of man he is going to be, that's the main point here. When we want to create a perfect man, we should first have this fundamental of the man, this, what brand of man he is, whether he is in the category of of number A, number B, number C, number D. These are the details we'll be getting into. But when we say create a perfect man, what I'm establishing here is, we take the man from his birth. We take a man from his birth, know the man, all his years of life, 5 years, 10 years, 100 years, 500 years, all this, what he is going to be, what category of man, and there are lots of categories of man, but Jyotish will give us the category. Jyotish will give us the category, that category of man can be developed to be a perfect man belonging to that category. Perfect man means definitely different people, and each will maintain his individuality, but he will rise to maximum development. We'll go into detail about the categories of men, but here it's enough to establish that each man can be developed into a perfect man based on where, in what heritage, in what time, in what place he is born. So what is most important to develop a perfect man? to know from his birth time. Just now, I am talking about the program for developing a perfect man. So the first thing that I am establishing is on the basis of the time of birth, place of birth, and heritage. To what heritage he belongs. What heritage? It's a class of heritage. Where, how he is. All men, of course, as men, they are all born, but it's a different seed. It's a different seed. Just like it will be very difficult to convert a mango tree into an apple tree into a mango tree. So when we say create a perfect man, first we take into account what brand of man he is. There are categories of people. Just like there are categories of metals. There is a gold mine, a silver mine, a copper mine, tin mine. They are different. Each earth can be raised to a supremely shining metal, but the gold earth will produce gold, silver will produce silver, copper will produce copper, but each will come out to be a shining metal. Each will come out to be a shining metal. This is through different processes. From this example of the different ores, gold ore, silver ore, these different metals, what we conclude is that when we want to create a perfect man, we should know the category of life we are considering. And this is very well known on the basis of the birth of a man, place, time, and heritage. So when we are talking of creating a perfect man, we are talking of that knowledge which gives us all about the category of person from his birth chart. They make a chart, birth chart. From there, they know what category of life he is, whether he comes in the A category, B category, C category, D category, E category, what category. This means what I am conveying is the creating a perfect man is a precise procedure of transforming a man from his childhood to youth to old age and all that. Creating a perfect man is on the basis of the birth chart of a person. Birth chart of a person. Birth chart of a person. This is on the basis of total knowledge which Ved is. Ved. It is the Vedic procedures that will transform any man on the basis of his birth chart. Birth is an important feature in order to select the procedures, in order to select the knowledge and the procedures, in order to develop perfection in that man. But the perfection should, in this way, what I'm saying is, it's a very set system, and nobody should confuse it. One man cannot become the other man. When perfection comes, it has to come on the basis of his birth chart. Whatever the chart says, these are the features, this kind of physiological structure in the brain, this kind of structure brain, this kind of these creative intelligence like that, and this kind of these impulses of the Vedic. So on the basis of this whole understanding, it's completely within the reach of our knowledge to create the procedures whereby any person can be raised to his full possible development, and that we will label as a perfect man, creating a perfect man, creating a perfect man. This is the introduction that I have given you, that based on our total knowledge of modern science, all the theories and the unified field, and based on total knowledge of the Veda, that is Atma, and on the basis of knowing that the Atma is Ved, and Ved is the physiology of the individual, and the physiology of the individual has the same content as the physiology of the whole universe. Yatha Pinde, Tatha Brahmande. So this is the scientific perspective of a program which is a practical program, open to all the people. Every man can be raised to perfection, but he will follow his line of heritage. Just as I gave the example, mango means very beautiful mango. Apple means very, very beautiful apple, and this and this. So there is a theme of progression. It will be wrong to think that this will get converted into this and this will get converted. No. Natural process of evolution connects the inner of every individual with the outer potential of the whole universe. Individual is universe. But our speciality lies in proper selection of the procedures that are there in the modern, I was saying, modern interpretation of the ancient eternal Ved. I have interpreted Ved on the scientific level, and it's on that basis that I'm talking of our authoritative, I would use the word, our authoritative procedures to transform any individual to his perfection, to a state of perfection.
I would just like to read a few of the main points, most appealing points from this particular talk. So Maharishi says, so in this introductory talk, I would just refer to one point, a very significant point. When a man is born, I have said many times that when a man is born, he is born as the expression of his Atma, expression of his unified field of consciousness. He is the expression of quantum mechanical, self-referral dynamism in the eternal silence of his own being, self-referral dynamism of the eternal ocean of peace. Yata Pinde Tata Brahmande. As is the atom, so is the universe. As is the body, so is the cosmic body. From the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. And so what Maharishi is saying here is that awareness which can both comprehend the smallest and the largest, comprehends that which is smaller than the smallest and larger than the largest. And having that value of awareness, that is the value of Jyotishmati Pragya. So again, it is understood that the goal of Maharishi Jyotish is to establish Jyotishmati Pragya. And the second goal of Maharishi Jyotish is to the use of yagyas to avert the danger before it arises, so that we eliminate the negative tendencies and strengthen the positive tendencies before any possible danger can arise. And Maharishi said our specialty lies in proper selection of the procedures that are there in the modern interpretation of the ancient eternal Veda. I have interpreted Veda on the scientific level, and it's on that basis that I am talking of our authoritative procedures to transform any individual to his state of perfection. And so Maharishi Jyotish is that perfect science that has completely 100% predictable results. Now we'd like to introduce the principles of prediction and transformation. So we'll start with part one of this section, this talk.
In this presentation, we'll learn how Maharishi Jyotish Pandits use the birth chart or kundali to make predictions about events in one's life and how to transform them to create a brighter future. Before we get into the details of this, we should first understand the fundamental principles of how it could be even possible to make predictions. Prediction of the future is possible because natural law, which gives rise to all creation, is unified at its basis and is holistic, orderly, and sequential in its expression. The same laws of nature that administer the universe also govern the life of the individual. This is a very important principle because there is ultimately no difference between individual and cosmic intelligence. Every individual, Maharishi says, is truly cosmic. Let's take a few minutes now to explore this reality from the side of Maharishi's Vedic science.
The underlying unity of nature is clearly described in the discoveries of modern science, especially in the discipline of theoretical physics. Scientific research over the last century has led to a progressively more and more unified understanding of the laws of nature. The four fundamental forces of gravity, electromagnetism, and the weak and strong forces in the atom can all now be understood as having one common basis. And the same is true of matter. Ultimately, superstring theory identifies a single, universal, unified field of nature's intelligence, underlying and governing all forms and phenomena in manifest creation. And every point of creation remains always connected to the totality of the unified field. Every point is in fact a ripple, a wave, an excitation of the underlying field. The unfoldment of nature is therefore from wholeness to wholeness. There is nothing but wholeness in the values of point and infinity. Vedic science describes this reality clearly in the phrase Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnam Udachyate. That is full, this is full. From fullness, fullness comes out. And Ved describes that the intelligence of nature is equally found everywhere in the words Tat Shristva, Tat Evanu Pravishat. Having created the creation, the Creator entered into it. The wholeness of natural law, having expressed itself in creation, is always awake as the administering intelligence in every state of evolution of its expression. Physics tells us further that the unified field expresses itself through its own self-referral dynamics. From the smallest subatomic particle to the cell in the body to the infinite galaxies in the ever-expanding universe. Ved describes the mechanics of creation in these words: Prakritim svam avashtabhya, vishrajami puna puna. Curving back on myself, I create again and again. Because nature's intelligence is self-referral, that means nature creates from within its own wholeness. We can easily understand why this most fundamental level of life is identified in the Vedic tradition as a field of consciousness, the self of everyone. Vedic science describes the unified field of nature's intelligence as one unbounded ocean of consciousness in motion. Being lively consciousness, the oneness of nature spontaneously knows itself and becomes three values in one: knower, known, and process of knowing. These fundamental three, knower, known, and process of knowing, interact with each other again and again and again, becoming sequential elaborations of unity, rising and falling in the diversity of manifest creation. In Vedic language, this unified field of consciousness is called Atma. The unmanifest liveliness of Atma flows in the reverberations of Ved, the sounds of the self-interacting dynamics of consciousness that are the impulses of natural law, giving rise to and governing all of creation, structuring our own physiology, called Sharir, and the cosmic physiology of the universe, called Vishwa in Vedic language. All streams of life, bliss, power, knowledge, emerge from the field of Atma. Maharshi's Vedic programs systematically develop individual awareness to fully express this in daily life. When Atma, the self of every individual, is fully awake, it is aware of its full creative potential, the wholeness of natural law, the ever-expanding universe within itself. This fully blossomed state of unity consciousness is called Brahm. It is life in total knowledge, life in the light of God, that simultaneously comprehends the wholeness of silent absolute singularity and the infinite dynamism of relative diversity. Atma, Ved, Sharir, Vishwa, Brahm. This is the picture of the range of nature's creative intelligence that is our own nature, the inner self of everyone, and our own destiny that can be realized through Maharshi's gift of Vedic knowledge. Maharshi comments,
Jyotish is on that level from where all life begins. The diversity starts from that singularity, from that unity of self-referral consciousness, completely unified in its own value. Completely unified in its own value. So, having its existence on a level which is the basic intelligence of nature, Jyotish is able to command all levels of evolution. All levels of evolution. In any direction one would go. With this knowledge, we have the power to completely eliminate suffering. As soon as we can whisper this to all our people, so soon we will have the very solid foundation for heaven on earth.
This vision of unity of Atma, the unbounded ocean of consciousness flowing as Ved, the dynamic laws of nature, and its expression in Sharir, our body, our physiology, Vishva, the body or physiology of creation, and ultimately Brahm, totality, is the fundamental knowledge that Maharishi wanted all of us as students of Maharishi Jyotish to have. As we've seen, natural law governs everything in perfect harmony on the path of evolution. In fact, the basic mechanics of nature's creativity is so orderly that each step of change can be predicted by precise calculation. It's said that all knowledge is contained in the starting point, just as a tiny seed contains everything needed to grow into a tree and bear flowers and fruit. In this same way, Maharishi Jyotish can give knowledge of the future of any person or entity by knowing just one point in its history, the time and place of its birth. From these variables, time and place, the whole span and sequence of its life is calculated. Here we see a birth chart, or kundali. It's like a snapshot of the laws of nature, lively at the moment we enter into the field of activity. As such, the kundali contains valuable and comprehensive insights into the events yet to unfold in our life. The positions of the planets and stars seen in our birth chart represent the subtle forces of nature which act upon us and shape our destiny, determining what and when different circumstances may arise on our path to enlightenment. The science and technology of Maharishi Jyotish is capable of predicting future trends because the ancient seers, those great Vedic scientists of consciousness who first cognized the Ved, were able to simplify the innumerable influences of natural law to a few essential elements. The Maharishi Jyotish Pundit will refer to these basic constituents of Jyotish in analyzing your birth chart. So we'll use this traditional terminology of Jyotish just so you become familiar with the vocabulary of nature used in an analysis of the Kundali. Now we'll review 4 key components that make up the structure of the birth chart. First, the bhavas, the 12 houses of the horoscope. These are common to everyone and indicate different aspects of life such as finance, marriage, work, health, parents, and children. We see here the structure of the birth chart and some of the attributes of the different houses or bhavas. Second, the constellations called rashis. These are the classic signs of the zodiac, which have reference to the movement of the sun over the course of 1 year. Depending on the time and place of your birth, each astrological sign will be assigned to one of the houses in your horoscope. Each sign has a detailed set of qualities it brings to that area of your life, and in this example, we see how the signs of the zodiac are placed in one of the bhavas or houses. Third, the grahas. Roughly described as planets, these each have a wide portfolio of qualities. The grahas are the sun, Surya, associated with the self; moon, Chandra, associated with the mind and emotions; Mars, Mangal, associated with dynamism and organizing power; Mercury, Bud, associated with the intellect and discrimination; Jupiter, Guru, associated with knowledge, expansion, and teaching; Venus, Shukra, associated with beauty, refinement, and pleasure; Saturn, Shani, associated with grief and stability. There are also 2 grahas which are not planets, but the intersection of the paths of the sun and moon. These are called Rahu and Ketu. Rahu is associated with roughness and unpredictability, and is like Shani in its quality. Ketu is secretive and philosophical, and is like Mongol. Like the Rashis, depending on your birth time and place, the grahas also become fixed in the bhavas. Their specific qualities then interact with each other and with the Rashi in that bhava. So you see there are many layers. Here we see an example of the grahas in the different houses of the birth chart. The Maharshi Jyotish Pandit analyzes the positions of the planets and stars in the birth chart and their subtle relationships that they have with each other, as well as the changing influence that comes from the ongoing movement of the planets over time. There is one more key constituent of Maharshi Jyotish, nakshatras. These are a second set of constellations that have reference to the movement of the moon over about 1 month. Although the 27 nakshatras do not directly appear in the kundali, their influence permeates all the interactions of the grahas and rashis that form the basis of prediction and transformation. Nakshatras represent subtle values of nature's intelligence and provide a richer and more precise understanding of the myriad relationships within the kundali. They also play an important role in determining the timing of trends and tendencies in our life, including the area of Jyotish called Muhurta. Bhavas, Rashis, Grahas, and Nakshatras. These 4 values are just the variables by which the Maharshi Jyotish Pandit can quantify the functioning of natural law at some specific time and place, either for good fortune or to identify some challenges we may face. This is important to remember, that all the constituents of Jyotish are not something just up in the sky or hanging in space, but rather lively aspects of consciousness coalesced in forces of nature, and they are intimate to our own being, to our very existence. They are not something outside or separate from ourselves. Their qualities and organizing power reside within our own individuality. This is not a philosophical statement. Modern science has begun to discover that the bhavas, grahas, rashis, and nakshatras all have their counterparts in the human physiology. The research of Professor Tony Nader, Maharaj Adiraj Rajaram, has shown the precise one-to-one relationship between these key constituents of Jyotish and the brain, cells, and DNA, which govern every aspect of our experience and our evolution towards totality, enlightenment. Now let's take a look at an animation created for the Maharshi Tower of Invincibility, which illustrates how every individual is truly cosmic.
How many times have you gazed at the starry night sky and wondered, how big is the universe? How and why did it happen? Who made it happen? There's a reason why we're attracted to the far distant planets and galaxies. This is because the same laws and dynamics of nature that created and maintain the starry skies also structure our human physiology. The same laws of nature that govern the universe govern the individual. Simply stated, creation at its basis is unified. Here are just a few examples from our planetarium show that highlight the parallels between our solar system and our human physiology. Let's first look at how the planets in our solar system relate to our human brain. This diagram shows how the planets relate to the key parts of the brain. The sun, for example, acts like the thalamus located in the center of the brain. All activity in the solar system revolves around the sun. Similarly, in our brain, all activity is controlled and ordered by the thalamus. Let's take a deeper look on the molecular level. This diagram shows the correlations between the planets in our solar system and the parts of our human cell. The role of sun mirrors the role of the nucleus in the cell. The sun in Vedic astrology represents the king, the leader, or organizing power. In the cell, the nucleus is a specialized organelle that serves as the information processing and administrative center. Let's see what else we can find. We're all familiar with the 12 signs of the zodiac. These 12 solar constellations are mirrored in our human cells, both in structure and function. The constellation Gemini, as an example, corresponds to the messenger transport system tubules. These one-to-one relationships between the structures and functions of human physiology and the structures of our solar system are what connect us and attract us to that beautiful starlit night sky. Understanding these critical connections between human intelligence and cosmic intelligence gives us insight into how we can maximize opportunities in our own life, avert problems, improve our society, balance and harmonize our world, and literally harness the limitless power of nature. It is not outer space that is the final frontier of knowledge. It is the inner space of our own deep level of consciousness that is the final frontier. There is nothing beyond the one grand field of consciousness. This one discovery has now opened the possibility for every human to rise to the level of orderliness that is sustaining the entire universe. So come and enjoy the Maharishi Tower of Invincibility full planetarium show, where your final realization will be, I am the universe. You are the universe.
Let's summarize what we've learned so far about the principles of prediction and transformation. 1. Individual and cosmic life share a unified source in the field of all-knowing consciousness. The individual is truly cosmic. 2. The Kundalini captures the expressions of natural law lively at the time of birth and presents them as a map of the different forces acting together to propel us on the path of enlightenment. 3. Maharshi Jyotishis, using mathematical formulas cognized by the Vedic seers, are able to calculate future trends and tendencies from the lively intelligence located in the essential constituents of Jyotish, the bhavas, rashis, grahas, and nakshatras.
So in this first part, we understand that the underlying unity of nature and its mechanics of expression is clearly described in the discoveries of modern science, especially in the discipline of theoretical physics, where scientific research over the last century has led to a progressively more and more unified understanding of the laws of nature. And every point of creation remains always connected to the totality of the unified field. Every point is in fact a ripple, a wave, an excitation of the underlying field. The unfoldment of nature is therefore from wholeness to wholeness. There is nothing but wholeness in the values of point and infinity. Vedic science describes the reality clearly in the phrase, Purnamada Purnamidam, Purnat Purnam, Udachate. That is full, this is full. From fullness, fullness comes out. And then physics tells us further that the unified field expresses itself through its own self-referral dynamics. Veda describes the mechanics of creation in the words, Prakritam Swam Avastabhya Vishrajami Puna Puna, curving back on myself, I create again and again. Because nature's intelligence is self-referral, That means nature creates from within its own wholeness. We can easily understand why this most fundamental level of life is identified in the Vedic tradition as a field of consciousness, the self of everyone. And then we see that these constituents, the bhavas, the grahas, the rashis, the nakshatras, through the groundbreaking work of Dr. Tony Nader, have been seen not only to be cosmic, but to be the cosmic counterparts of our own physiology, bringing the understanding of Jyotishmati Pragya not only as an aspect of our own consciousness, but as a reverberation of our own physiology. And so it is a very beautiful overview of the total potential of Maharishi Jyotish. Now we will continue with the second half of this talk, which is the introductions to the principles of prediction and transformation.
Now, in this next section, we'll see how the timing and transformation of these predictions can be determined. We'll consider the dasha system, the science of karma or action, and the graha shanti personal yagya performances.
The Kundalini, we can understand, is like a blueprint of life. It displays the structuring intelligence underlying our progress in both time and space. This intelligence manifests in two ways, in a changing value and an unchanging value. The unchanging value is represented by the positions of the rashis and grahas in the houses of your birth chart that are determined according to the time and place of birth and the relationship with each other. This is the non-changing value. The changing value is seen in the movement of the sun and moon through the constellations called gochar, or transits, and the cycles of time during which the qualities of intelligence described by the grahas become expressed. These cycles are called dashas and are unique to the Vedic science of Jyotish. The knowledge of both these static and dynamic aspects of Jyotish allow the Maharishi Jyotish Pandit to describe ongoing tendencies in one's innate nature. We see one's strengths and weaknesses, as well as identify emerging trends that may manifest. Identifying trends is possible because the seers of Jyotish cognize that time has not only a quantity or duration, it also has a specific quality and structure. This is enumerated in the dasha system. Now, we're all familiar with time in terms of hours, days, weeks, months, years, but Jyotish also takes into account the influence of the planets upon the cycles of time. This is a key feature of making a prediction. Here we see that the major cycles of dashas, known as mahadashas, have varying lengths from 6 to 20 years. But the progression or sequence is always the same, even though we may begin at different points according to when and where we are born. You'll see that the total of all the mahadashas is 120 years, which is considered to be the basic Vedic span of human life. In your consultation, the Maharishi Jyotish Pandit will identify how these cycles of time enliven specific aspects of your birth chart and activate possible outcomes at distinct periods in the development of your life. The Pandit can then describe the character of experiences you may have in either your current period or in those that may come in the future. It's possible for the Maharishi Jyotish Pandit to go into very fine detail because each dasha period has several layers of sub-periods that have a similar structure to the principal Mahadash. A Mahadasha may extend from 6 years up to 20. This illustration shows a Mahadasha containing 9 sub-periods called Antardashas. These periods may extend for a few years, and you'll see that the sub-periods are in the exact same sequence, but their duration is now proportionally smaller because they must fit within the Mahadasha period. Within each Antardasha subperiod is yet another subperiod called Pradyantardasha. A Pradyantardasha may extend from days to about 6 months. Where one starts in the cycles of the dashas is determined by the position of the moon in the nakshatras at the time of birth. As we mentioned, each dasha period indicates the enlivenment of the influence of a particular planet or graha. As the analysis takes into consideration finer levels of time, greater and more specific insights can be gained. How do these trends, either good or bad, manifest in our life? We may wonder how we sometimes have good luck, and other times we seem to face some problems. Is there any principle underlying the trends in our fortunes that can be predicted by Maharshi Jyotish? Maharshi Vedic Science explains that every action has a reaction. It can be experienced either right away or delayed for some future time. Whatever our fortune, it's simply a reflection of our past thinking, decisions, and behavior. We all know the expression, as you sow, so shall you reap. Jyotish identifies those periods in our life when challenges or opportunities become awake. Let's hear from Maharshi.
This is Jyotish. It's all mathematics. It's the mathematics of that perfect order in which evolutionary process thrive. Life breeds evolution in that perfect mathematical order which is eternally set. And when something changes, that also is set. This is the science of action. This is the science of karma. This is the science which is known to us in that one simple village saying, as you sow, so shall you reap. This is the tradition of knowledge of the whole human race. In any part of the world, everyone knows that you get delivered what you order. Whatever you have ordered, that is awaiting you in proper time. So whatever we do today, that perfect order in creation, which is in itself innocently evolutionary, that knows what we have ordered for tomorrow, we'll get that thing. So the whole knowledge of the process of evolution and conditions which we will be facing today or tomorrow or next day or next day or next day, all that knowledge is calculated through those specific systems of calculation, and we can know what is that which we'll have to face in 6 months or 1 year or 10 years or tomorrow, next day.
It is the perfection of Maharshi Jyotish that it provides not only the knowledge of the trends of time, but how to ensure that these support maximum progress in our life. Once a Maharshi Jyotish expert has calculated the influences coming to us, Vedic pundits expert in Maharshi Yagya or Graha Shanti can then dissolve these negative influences and promote positive ones through specific performances that include recitation of Vedic sound. These Vedic performances function from the level of the unified field of natural law that is unbounded in time and space and is the home of all knowledge, because everything in creation is an expression of its self-interacting dynamics. Just as enlivening the sap in a plant brings nourishment to the leaves and flowers, the sounds of Vedic recitation reverberate throughout the unified field to enliven the nourishing qualities of natural law. Vedic pundits can precisely direct and influence through the primordial sound reverberations of the Ved on the level of the unified field, which can then promote specific outcomes for an individual, family, or nation, so that any unwanted tendency is neutralized before it manifests, and success and fulfillment are supported. Maharishi explains yajna in these words.
So yajna is a system of inviting any level of vitality from the field of all possibilities. From the total potential of natural law, you derive some specific values. And that's how all this yajna organization has been built up. It's all on that level from where the sound produces form. You say something and you get something out of you. So sound producing form, intelligence producing sound, sound producing form. And this form that you produce now will either support or will dismantle any form that may have been there hovering around you to come up in time. System of yajna is a very great this is Vedic mathematics. Vedic mathematics which calculates you are doing now here, tomorrow due to this doing, what will happen to your physiology, to your psychology, to your behavior, to your environment. What influence you may have on the cow in your yard, whether she'll give more milk or less milk, or healthy milk or sick milk. Everything that you do as an owner of a cow has an influence on the cow. What will happen to the cow 6 months later, or 6 hours later, or 1 hour later? The karma is an influence which is generated on the field level, You have that Maharishi effect, that global influence of harmony that's generated from that level, transcendental level. So, that level, transcendental level, is beyond space and time, beyond boundaries. So from there you can create any effect, and the effect will travel throughout universe and will hit and enrich everything that you want.
Yajnas have been performed since time immemorial, and we're fortunate that in our age, Maharishi has restored this science and technology of Ved to its perfection. Maharishi has brought to light the essential knowledge that self-referral consciousness is the home of all the laws of nature, and has created a structure for Vedic experts to be deeply grounded in the purity and completeness of the Vedic tradition. Rig Veda reminds us that nature's infinite organizing power can only be accessed by those whose awareness is fully awake to the cosmic reality in which the impulses of Veda, natural law, are lively. Rig Veda says, the verses of the Veda exist in the collapse of fullness in the transcendental field, self-referral consciousness, the self, in which reside all the laws of nature responsible for the whole manifest universe. He whose awareness is not open to this field, what can the verses accomplish for him? Those who know this level of reality are established in evenness, wholeness of life. For this reason, Maharishi Vedic pundits systematically develop their consciousness through the Transcendental Meditation program and its advanced techniques, including yogic flying. This is further enriched by collective practice so that their Vedic performance functions on that most silent and expanded level of consciousness, from the field of Ved, total knowledge. Let's hear one more time from Maharshi regarding the perfection of Maharishi Jyotish in Yagya.
So this is the field of the intellectual comprehension with precision of infinite level. Nothing could go wrong, nothing could go wrong, nothing could go wrong, nothing could go wrong. And if one does something wrong, that is calculable, and then if it is predictable, then there are measures to undo that. It's a tremendously complete field of knowledge which gives man authority on his life. It's not that the days and nights go on, and the man goes like a log flowing in a river like that, and he can't help the flow. No. Jyotish is that most awake and completely having the whole range of development and progression within its grip. That knowledge, with its infinite organizing power, has the ability to not only know, but do and undo. You can employ the whole field of natural law. All the laws of nature will work for you. All laws of nature will work for you. All laws of nature will work for you. This is bestowing infinite freedom and invincibility to every individual life. This is Jyotish. On both levels, on the experiential level and on the intellectual level. You can calculate. You can do and undo. You can do and undo. It's an enormous field of pure knowledge and its technology, lively, always present in one's own transcendental consciousness, is a field of knowledge and technology for everyone, absolutely everyone. So Jyotish is a very great, supreme level of intelligence. Jyotishmati pragya, supreme level of intelligence, both on the field of knowledge and on the field of application of knowledge.
So now let's summarize this section on the principles of prediction and transformation. 1. The precise timing of events and trends indicated in the Kundali is calculated using the dasha system, which indicates the finer qualities as well as the quantities of the influences from our cosmic counterparts. 2. Present and future challenges or opportunities in our life are structured by the consequences of our past actions or karma. Maharishi Jyotishis mathematically calculate the nature and timing of these influences. 3. Maharishi Jyotish Pandits are trained to perform Vedic yagyas, graha shanti, from the level of all-knowing consciousness. The effect is so powerful that it can either support or dismantle influences predicted through the analysis of the birth chart.
Whatever area of life we'd like to protect and nourish, be it our home and children, our career and business, our health and happiness, we can do so through the programs of Maharishi Jyotish and Maharishi Yagya. Now every individual, every family, every nation can enjoy the support of the cosmic intelligence of nature that is almighty and all-knowing. Avert the danger that has not yet come, and see that the good fortune that we desire does not pass us by. The science and technology of Maharishi Jyotish is a precious gift, a treasure that Maharishi has given to the world to safeguard the enlightenment, good fortune, invincibility, the very destiny of this generation and all to come. Jai Gurudev.
And so just a couple of key main points. This is from Maharishi. So this is the field of intellectual comprehension with precision at infinite level. Nothing could go wrong. Nothing could go wrong. Nothing could go wrong. Nothing could go wrong. It's a tremendously complete field of knowledge which gives man authority on his life. It's not that the days and nights go on, and the man goes like a log flowing in the river like that, and he can't help the flow. No. Jyotish is that most awakened awareness and completely having the whole range of development and progression within its grip. That knowledge with its infinite organizing power has the ability to not only know, but do and undo. You can employ the whole field of natural law. All the laws of nature will work for you. All the laws of nature will work for you. This is bestowing infinite freedom and invincibility to every life. This is Jyotish on both levels, on the experiential and the intellectual level. You can calculate, you can do and undo, you can do and undo. Enormous field of pure knowledge and its technology, lively, always present in one's transcendental consciousness. It is a field of knowledge and technology for everyone, absolutely everyone. And for intellectual inquiry, there is that mathematics, which is all short expressions of very vast range of knowledge. And these are all these expressions, the cycles of grahas, 9 grahas, cycles of 12 rashis, cycles of 27 nakshatras. And in this is the total language of Jyotish, which encompasses infinite range of intelligence. Jyotish is a field of fully awakened consciousness or intelligence, fully awakened consciousness, intelligence. And then Maharishi went on to say, Yagya is on that level from where sound produces form. This form produced will either support or dismantle any previous form that may have been hovering around to come up in the future. And so these are the values of Maharishi Jyotish. And I'd like to finish with the 3 main points in the section on the technology of prediction. The precise timing of events and trends indicated in the Kundali is calculated using the dasha system, which indicates the finer qualities as well as the qualities of the influences from our cosmic counterparts. Point 2. Present and future challenges or opportunities in our life are structured by the consequences of our past actions or karma. Maharishi Jyotishis mathematically calculate the nature and timing of their influences. And point 3, Maharishi Jyotish Pandits are trained to perform Vedic yagyas, graha shanti, from the level of all-knowing consciousness. The effect is so powerful that it can either support or dismantle influences predicted by the analysis of the birth chart. And so the science and technology of Maharishi Jyotish is a precious gift, a treasure that Maharishi has given to the world to safeguard the enlightenment, good fortune, invincibility, the very destiny of this generation and all to come. Jai Gurudev.